In the heart of a bustling city there stood a quaint little shop. Its windows were filled with an array of timepieces. Clocks of all shapes and sizes ticked in perfect harmony. This was Elias's domain, a sanctuary of gears and springs. His nimble fingers coaxed life into stubborn mechanisms. Every tool had its place, like the components of his clocks. Sunlight streamed through dusty windows, catching on brass gears. He was in his element, surrounded by his creations. The bell above the shop door jangled. Elias looked up from his work. A gust of wind blew in, carrying a drenched stranger. The man was tall and thin, with kind eyes and a worried frown.
Welcome, you've picked quite a day to venture out.
Thunder rumbled outside. The stranger shook raindrops from his coat.
I'm Samuel. I was told you might help me.
Elias cradled the watch in his palm. Its weight felt right, speaking of quality craftsmanship. He turned it over, examining every inch with a practiced eye. The mechanism inside was silent, frozen in time.
It was my grandfather's. He gave it to me before he passed. It's been in our family for generations.
Elias nodded, understanding the weight of history in his hands.
It stopped working last week. I've taken it to other shops, but no one could fix it.
There was a tremor in his voice, a fear of loss. Elias listened intently. He heard more than just words. He heard the ticking of memories, the rhythm of family bonds. This wasn't just a timepiece. It was a bridge between past and present.
I can fix it. It may take some time. Would you like to wait? Relief washed over Samuel's face.
Samuel nodded gratefully. He settled into the chair, watching Elias work. The clockmaker's movements were precise and gentle. He opened the watch with reverence, revealing its intricate innards. As Elias worked, he spoke softly. He shared stories of other watches he had repaired. Each tale was a journey through time, filled with laughter and tears. Samuel listened, captivated. The storm outside faded into background noise. Hours slipped by unnoticed. Elias's skilled hands breathed life back into the silent mechanism. With each turn of a tiny screwdriver, the watch's heartbeat grew stronger. Dawn broke, painting the sky in soft pinks and golds. Elias straightened, a smile on his weathered face.
It's done, he announced.
With gentle hands, Elias presented the watch. It gleamed in the early light.
Samuel took it with trembling fingers. He held it to his ear. Tick, tick, tick. Samuel's eyes welled with tears. It's perfect, he whispered.
The watch was more than repaired. It was reborn. Elias nodded, satisfaction warming his chest. Samuel reached for his wallet, but Elias shook his head.
No charge, he said softly. It's an honor to work on such a fine piece.
Samuel protested, but Elias was firm.
This is for you, he said. It's a journal, to record the moments this watch will witness.
Elias smiled, understanding the depth of gratitude in those simple words. As Samuel prepared to leave, the storm had passed. Sunlight streamed through freshly washed windows. The world outside seemed renewed, much like the watch in Samuel's pocket.
Thank you, Samuel said, his voice thick with emotion. You've given me back more than just a watch.
Elias nodded, knowing the truth of those words. He had restored a connection to the past.
I'll come back, he promised, to show you how I filled this journal.
Elias smiled, looking forward to that day. As the door closed behind Samuel, the shop felt different. It was as if a new story had begun, its pages waiting to be filled. Elias returned to his workbench, humming softly. Elias sat at his workbench, surrounded by the gentle ticking of his clocks. He thought about Samuel and the repaired watch. It was a reminder of why he loved his craft. In his hands, he held another watch. This one belonged to a young woman, a gift from her late mother. Tomorrow, he would restore it. Another story, another connection to preserve. As the day wound down, Elias felt a deep sense of contentment. His work connected him to people in ways he never expected.